Hey guys, what is up? My name is Landon and welcome to the Jersey Zone. Now today I want to do a fun little video ranking my favorite players on the Toronto Maple Leafs this season. Now I did kind of steal this video idea from Neil at Post to Post Productions. I'm sure you guys have seen his channel before, but if you haven't, I'll link to his video in the description down below. He did it on the Montreal Canadiens, which is his favorite team, and I thought it was a fun video, so I kind of wanted to do it on my favorite team, which is the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is my second time recording this. My first time I talked for like over an hour. The video ended up being like 45 to 50 minutes or something like that. So obviously I talked way longer than I thought I was going to, and I was trying to keep that video concise too, and I didn't think that I talked for that long, but apparently I did. So I'm going to try and get this video a little bit shorter. I'm going to aim for like 20 something to 30 minutes, something like that. Hopefully I can get it down that low. If it's longer than that, I apologize, but this is going to be my last try because this video did already take a long time recording the first time, so hopefully it's not too long for you guys. But this was a pretty hard list to make because this is one of my favorite Toronto Maple Leaf teams to ever hit the ice. I love almost every single player on this list. They're just such a fun team to watch, and I love watching almost every single game they play. There's some games where, you know, not as fun, but in most cases, they're a pretty fun team to watch. And this is a list of 26 players. I didn't include every single person who has played for the Leafs this season. I didn't include like Travis Boyd or Jimmy Vesey, even though they played a lot of games for the Leafs. I didn't feel like I needed to include them because they would be at pretty low at the bottom of the list there. And then I also didn't include Alex Barabanov or Mikko Lehtinen because they only played a couple of games as well. And I also didn't include Timothy Liljegren because he only played one game, although he looked pretty good in that one game, but he only played that one game as well, so I didn't include him either. So I have the list of 26 players, but let's get right into it here. So starting off at number 26, I have Pierre Engvall. Now, I do not mind Engvall, but he can be pretty frustrating because you can see the skill in his game sometimes. He has a fairly nice shot, and you've seen it before. He had a nice shot, I think it was the other night against Vancouver, but most of the times he's just bobbling pucks and everything like that, and he's just very frustrating to watch sometimes because you know he has the potential and he has the skill. He just has a hard time putting it all together. Once he puts it all together, I think he'll be a pretty decent bottom six player, but for right now, he's kind of just frustrating to watch, really. Now, on to number 25, I have a player who I would have had at the bottom and at the very bottom last year, but it's Michael Hutchinson. Obviously, this year, he has played way better than he did last year. I think that's mostly because of circumstances and when he's been playing. Last year, Mike Babcock played him in the worst places that he ever could. He always put him on the back-to-back, and on the back-to-back, he usually had the harder team to face, and he just didn't succeed, and he never gained his confidence last year. This year, he came in having a little bit of confidence, and he played a lot better this year than he had in previous years. He is now back to our fourth-string goaltender, even though he was at the backup position for a little bit there. But when he was at the backup position, I definitely didn't mind it as much as I did last year. So even though he is at the 25th position, I still really don't mind him as much as I did. Now at 24, I have Alexander Kerfoot, and I feel bad for having him down this low, but he is the only part of the deal left from Nazem Kadri. I'm not going to go that in depth with the Kadri trade here because I want to keep this video short, but overall, I do agree with the theory of trading Kadri, but when you only have Kerfoot left, it's kind of hard to feel like you won that deal. Like I said, I don't mind Kerfoot. I think in some circumstances he can be pretty decent. He is a decent third line center sometimes, but I just feel like he overpasses sometimes. There'll be a lot of times where he's in the slot, have a great shot opportunity, and he'll pass it to someone who, if he gets it there, they will 100% score, but it always gets picked off, or it gets picked off a good amount of the times. But I feel like if he just shot more, maybe he would score a little bit more, and I don't know if that's just confidence is why he's not shooting. Whatever it is, it's just a little bit frustrating sometimes watching Kerfoot, but I really don't mind him, and I don't think he's that awful of a player. Now on to number 23, I have David Rittich. Now I do really like Rittich, and I really liked him in Calgary. He would probably be higher up on a list if I ranked the Calgary Flames players, but for right now on the Toronto Maple Leafs, he's a little bit lower down. One, because he's only played a couple of games with the Leafs, and he hasn't had that many good games. He only had the last game against Vancouver there where he played pretty well, but the game before that against Vancouver, he played awful, so it kind of evened out slightly, but he's only had one win as a Leaf goaltender, so he is pretty down low on the list here, but I do like the fact that he's so emotionally invested in the game. Sometimes he might go a little bit too overboard, like that one clip this year where he headbutt the door in Calgary when he was walking down the hallway. Maybe that's a little bit too overboard, but I feel like he's very emotionally invested in the game, and I like that a lot about him. At number 22, I have Alex Galchenyuk. Now, when he was picked up, I was a little bit confused about the acquisition. He's been bouncing around the league the past couple of years, and he really wasn't that great in Ottawa either, but the Leafs kind of brought him in, played him with the Marlies, and then brought him to the Leafs here. When he started playing for the Leafs, he looked pretty good, actually. I think he started with Tavares and Nylander, and he looked really good there, and then he went to Matthews and Marner, and he also looked good on that line. He was forechecking really hard. He looked really good, and like he was trying really hard, and I like that a lot about him in his first couple of games, but he was bobbling the puck a couple of times, and I was thinking that maybe that was just like chemistry or something like that, and he would get that all figured out. He kind of hasn't. The past couple of games, he's kind of struggled a little bit more than I think he should. He hasn't been as hard on his offense, and he's taken a couple dumb penalties as well, so I'm hoping he gets that all figured out, but I haven't minded the pickup so far. We'll just see how well it goes in the future. Now on to number 21, I have Adam Brooks, and Brooks has been a pretty solid addition on that fourth line there with Spezza and Thornton. I've really liked their chemistry so far. They've just meshed together really well, and I like how they just cycle the puck around in the offensive zone. A lot of the times they are in the offensive zone, and Brooks does a good job helping that out as well, and I think he's just been a good addition to that fourth line. On to number 20, I have Zach Bogosian, who's been a pretty big surprise to me as a Leaf. I thought he was going to regress pretty hard coming off of Tampa, but he's honestly been pretty good, and he's been a lot more than what I expected. I thought he was just going to be a big body on that third pair, and that's pretty much it. I thought that's all he was going to be there for, but he's actually moved the puck pretty well and has some good stretch passes and everything like that. I've really liked his game so far. It's unfortunate he's been injured, but I have liked his game so far, and I am hoping he'll be back for the playoffs. At number 19, I have Nick Foligno. Now, he has actually jumped up the list since the last time I recorded this. I recorded this a couple of days ago. I'm not quite sure where he was on the list, but he's jumped up to number 19 now. He was a lot lower just more because of the fact that he was on Columbus last year, and Columbus Blue Jackets knocked out the Leafs in the first round. Well, I guess it was the play-in, not the first round. But I wasn't really a huge fan of him last year, so him coming over, I was a little bit iffy on it, but I've really liked his game so far. His defensive game is quite good. He seems to break up a lot of passes, I find, and he throws some big hits as well, which I've really liked. And it looks like he has pretty good chemistry with Matthews and Marner so far. He's had 1 assist in every single game he's played, which has been 4, and he just also seems to get along with Matthews and Marner on the bench and in practice and stuff, or at least that's what it looks like. And of course, he brings that leadership to the team as well, so it's been a really good pickup for the Leafs so far. I cannot wait to see what he does in the playoffs. At number 18, I have Nick Robertson. Now, Robertson hasn't played a whole lot of games as a Leaf, but when he has played, I've really enjoyed his game. He is super confident with the puck, and he's really hard on the puck as well. Like, his passes are super hard, his shot is super hard, and like I said, he's very confident as well. There's a lot of times where I feel like most rookies would probably pass the puck, but he asks for it, gets the puck and whips it and shoots it hard. Doesn't always hit the net, but I just love that confidence in him. But there is some times where you can definitely tell that he is still a teenager, and maybe he isn't quite ready for the NHL. He either like bobble the puck, or he'll fall down, or get hit pretty hard. There's a couple times like that where you've seen he just doesn't look quite ready yet for the NHL. He is very, very close though, and I will be very excited once he does become that full NHL player. At number 17, I have Justin Holl. Now, Justin Holl really surprised me, and I think most Leaf fans last year, where he seemed to have his breakout year and just become a really solid defensive defenseman. Both him and Muzzin were just such a good shutdown pair last year, and it has carried over to this year, although there is still some games where maybe they haven't worked as well, and maybe Justin Holl hasn't looked as great on some nights, but he still is a pretty good defensive defenseman, and I have liked his game a good amount. Now on to number 16, I have Travis Dermott. Now, I would like Dermott to be higher because I really like Dermott's personality. He just seems like such a fun guy to be around, and I just absolutely adore his reaction when he scored his first NHL goal. It is so funny, and it's such a memorable moment for me. I absolutely love it, and I was really excited for him coming into the NHL. I was really hoping that he would become a very good offensive defenseman, but recently, especially this year, he just hasn't looked as good as he had in previous years, unfortunately. His game has just fallen off a lot more than I had hoped, and I'm just really upset about that because I do really like Dermott. I do kind of want him to stay in a way because I think he would be a good 7-6 defenseman, but it just kind of looks like he's being pushed out of the lineup a little bit, and it is quite unfortunate. At number 15, I have Wayne Train. Wayne Simmons, I really do like Wayne Simmons a lot. I really like what he's brought to the team so far this year, although there has been a little stretch where he really wasn't that good and he really wasn't that helpful or doing anything, but his first couple of games before his injury, he was fantastic in my opinion. I absolutely loved everything he did. He hit hard, he fought, he worked really hard in the corners. I really liked that part of his game, and even put up a couple of points in those first few games as well. Then he got injured, and after his injury, after he came back, he really did not look the same. It looked like it took him quite a few games to kind of get back into the rhythm, but recently in the past couple of games, it looks like he is back in that rhythm there. It just looks like he's skating a little bit better, he's forechecking a little bit harder, and I've liked his game a little bit better in the past couple of games. hopefully he can keep that up. Now at number 14, I have Rasmus Sandin. I have really liked Rasmus Sandin so far this year, and if he keeps playing like the way he is going to shoot up this list because, man, this player just looks fantastic. He looks so good on that blue line there. I almost want him on the first power play unit because of how confident he is with the puck. Just the way he handles himself with the puck and the way he passes, it just looks so good. I just can't wait to see more games out of this player because he looks fantastic. And another thing as well is he looks like he's beefed up a little bit this year than he had in previous years. In previous years, he got hit hard in almost every single game he played. He still gets hit hard a couple of times this year, but he's definitely kind of stood up for himself a little bit more this year. He obviously had that reverse check hit on, I think it was Blake Wheeler a while ago, and he's had a few other more big hits this year. So I've really liked that part of his game where he's kind of beefed up a little bit and he's a little bit stronger this year than he was in previous years, and he just looks really good, and I cannot wait to see the future of this kid. At number 13, I have Jumbo Joe. I've really liked Thornton this year. His trajectory is pretty much the same as Wayne Simmonds so far this year, I feel like, where he came in, he started off really good, playing with Matthews and Marner, cycling the puck really well. His chemistry with them just looked fantastic, but then he got injured and he came back and he just didn't look the same. He wasn't cycling the puck as well. He just felt like he really wasn't doing anything at all. But recently, in the past couple of games, he started to cycle the puck a lot more again. He started to work a little bit harder in those corners. He started to fight a little bit more, and I've really liked that about him. And he just seems to have a really good friendship with Matthews and Marner, kind of a little bit like Marleau did with them as well. So I've really liked that about him. Now at number 12, I have TJ Brodie. And man, he has been such a great player for the Leafs so far. He has been a fantastic pickup, probably the best pickup for the Leafs so far this offseason. He has been one of the best Leaf defensemen to play in quite a while. He is just so good at defending 2-on-1s, and it's kind of a weird way he does it as well, where he'll dive out on 2-on-1s. He won't get the puck like that, but he'll swing his stick behind him, and that's how he gets the puck. It's very strange how he does it, but it works almost every single time. Now, the one kind of gripe you might have with this game is his scoring. He has not scored a whole bunch. So far, he only has 1 goal and 12 assists this year, so maybe you would like a little bit more of him on the offensive side. But honestly, when he's playing with Morgan Rielly, I would much rather Rielly do the offense and Brodie do the defense than the other way around. So he has had a couple of times where maybe he pinched a little bit too hard and it created a scoring chance in the other way, and usually they score on that. But other than that, he's been very good, and I've really liked his game so far. At number 11, I have Frederik Andersen, and he's kind of here mostly because of his previous seasons. I really like Frederik Andersen for pretty much his entire time as a Leaf. He has been absolutely fantastic. He's carried the Leafs a lot of nights most of those times, and during those first couple of seasons, he was just so solid and so consistent. But this year, he has not looked that great. He obviously has been injured for a lot of this year as well, but when he was in net, he didn't look very good. I'm hoping that's mostly just because of the fact that he was injured and he didn't want to come out of the lineup because Jack Campbell was also hurt at the time. But right now, it is looking like he's going to be coming back for the playoffs, and I'm kind of iffy about it because if he only starts in the playoffs and he doesn't get any regular season games, I don't know if I want him starting in the playoffs. I think I would prefer Campbell there. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, to be honest, but I hope he plays well in the playoffs if he does get to play there. And this does look like it's probably the last season for Frederik Andersen as a Leaf, and it's a little bit unfortunate because, like I said, I did really like Andersen for pretty much his entire career here, but I also do think it might be time for him to go. At number 10, I have Morgan Rielly, and like Frederik Andersen, he's kind of just here because of his previous years. Obviously, Rielly has been a Leaf for an extremely long time, and he's been a very good Leaf for a long time as well. This year, though, he has not looked too great. There's been a lot of times where defensively, he is just absolutely lost. I feel like offensively, he hasn't really been as good this year as previous years either. I don't really know what it is. It's very strange, too, because TJ Brodie is probably the best defense partner he's ever had, and it's just kind of strange that it's not working out this year for him. But obviously, I do still like Morgan Rielly a lot. I even thought he was a potential captain candidate as well. I thought he could have been the captain for the Leafs, and I definitely wouldn't have minded it. But he does seem like a genuinely good guy, and I do kind of hope we re-sign him at the end of his contract. I think it ends next year, so I hope we can re-sign him then. At number 9, I have Superman, Ilya Mikheyev. I love Mikheyev. He is fantastic. He is just a meme. He is a meme. There is literally a meme where the meme is just Ilya Mikheyev, and that's it. And it's great, and then he has all the soup stuff as well, which is amazing. And I just also really like his game as well. He's a really strong forechecker. He's extremely fast. He reminds me a lot of Kapanen in that way, where he is extremely fast, but he just has such a hard time finishing. But one thing I do think he's better at than Kapanen was, is instead of just him coming into the zone with a lot of speed and then curls back like Kapanen did, he usually drives the net. It doesn't really work out most of the time, and he doesn't really score most of the time, but he does drive the net at least, and I like that part about him a lot. He has a very low shooting percentage, so I'm hoping he can kind of bring that up a little bit, because I really like that player a lot. I really like Mikheyev. At number 8, I have Jake Muzzin, and I absolutely love Jake Muzzin. He has such a strong presence on that blue line. He has a big shot, and he hits hard, and that's what I like about him as well, is his big hits. Most Leaf defensemen don't really have that in their wheelhouse, the big hits. He's one of the only probably 1 or 2 that really have it, and I really like that about him, and that's just kind of something the Leafs have been lacking a lot in their past couple of years, is that big, strong defenseman. So I like that he's on the blue line there for them. At number 7, I have John Tavares, and I absolutely love John Tavares. He's an extremely talented player. He has a wicked shot, but he also wins the puck battles a lot as well, and he is the little thing king, as some people call him, where he just works really hard in the corners and wins those puck battles and wins those face-offs, and that's what's really good about him, is he does all those little things to win the puck and end up getting those scoring chances and end up usually getting the puck in the back of the net. He's been really good this year. Even when he struggled, he was still kind of contributing in a lot of other ways as well, and I just think he's a really good captain. As a Leafs captain, I feel like you need to be straight-faced and just have no emotions at all, and that's John Tavares for you, where he is just an absolute robot. He barely smiles most of the time, although he has started to smile a little bit more, I find, but he just is basically a robot, and I think that works really well for the Leafs because of how just emotional the fans are and the media is, where one night just everything is in flames, and then the other night they're the best team in the NHL to ever exist. So I like that a lot, how he is just basically a straight-faced captain. I think it just works really well for the Leafs. At number 6, I have Jason Spezza. And man, coming over from Dallas last year, he surprised the heck out of me. I did not realize how good of a player he actually could be. Obviously, I knew he was a good player in Ottawa, but I thought he was going to be a lot older now, a lot more worn, and he was kind of just going to be a leadership guy, and mostly that's what he's going to be. But he is still an absolutely fantastic player. He has a great shot, he has really good speed, and he still has a lot of vintage moves as well. I remember the one move he pulled on Holtby this year where he was coming down the right-hand side, he faked a slap shot, and then just deked it around him and just roofed it, and it was amazing. I was like, oh my god, where did that come from? I didn't know that he still had that. I was like, wow, okay. But he just really surprised me that he has those kind of things still in his arsenal. And he also does the little things as well, like defensively and working hard in the corners and stuff like that. And it also just seems like he's such a good leader for that room in Toronto. He obviously pooled the money together for the Toronto Marlies, and he just seems like such a good guy, and it just seems like everybody would just run through a brick wall for him because he just seems like he's an amazing person. Now on to my top 5, and this was very hard to pick for my top 5. Like I said, the rest of the list was hard, but this top 5 was even harder. I had a very difficult time picking where I wanted everyone to go. But with that being said, at number 5, I have Mitch Marner. Now, the reason he's at number 5 is mostly because of those contract negotiations. Now, I don't really blame him for those contract negotiations, but no one liked those contract negotiations. I'm guessing he didn't like it, Leaf fans didn't like it, non-Leaf fans didn't like it, I'm guessing the team didn't like it either. I don't think anyone had a fun time with those contract negotiations, so that is why he's down this low, and I don't think he is completely overpaid. He's maybe overpaid a little bit, by maybe like $1 million or something like that, but I don't think he's overpaid that much, because he is a fantastic playmaker. He is one of the best playmakers in the league. He is so fun to watch every single night, and he's so creative with the puck as well. Just every single night he does something different that just goes, oh my god, like how did you even think of that? It is crazy. I love watching him. He is such a fun player to watch, and you can also tell he is just such a fun person to be around as well. He seems like the team's puppy dog. It just seems like he boosts everyone's morale, and he just seems like he really loves the team as well. There's a lot of times where you just see him out there blocking shots and sacrificing the body, and I just love that about him. He is a fantastic player, and like I said, he's one of my favorite players to watch because he's just so fun out there. At number 4, I have Zach Hyman, and the reason I have Zach Hyman here is because he's just such a hard worker. He just goes to work every single night. If he is out there on the ice, he is working hard, he's in the corners, he's battling, he's doing everything he possibly can to get that puck, and I just absolutely love that about him. And also, recently in the past 2 years, he started to score a lot more as well. He's had the scoring touch where I didn't really see that in him the first couple of years that he was here, but recently in the past 2 seasons, although he's had injuries, I think he's at like a 30 goal pace both years. He's been fantastic the past 2 years. He is just such a good player, and like I said, he's such a hard worker, and that's kind of why he's here. He just makes every single line that he is on that much better. If he's on the first line, they're way better. Second line, way better. Third line, way better. And you do kind of want him on that third line because the first and second line line should be able to carry themselves without Zach Hyman on there. But if you have him on the third line, he'll dominate any opposition and he'll be so good. So you do want him on that third line. But even if he is on that first or second line, I still absolutely love him. He's just such a hard worker. At number 3, I have Austin Matthews. This guy is the best Leaf player I've ever seen. I absolutely love Matt Sundin. He was my favorite player growing up. Austin Matthews, way better. He is just such a phenomenal goal scorer. He is in the top 2 of best goal scorers in the league, in my opinion. He is neck and neck with Ovechkin. They're very close, in my opinion. But this guy is just insane. He dominates like every single night. And the thing that I like about him the most is just how many times I find myself bursting out laughing whenever he scores a goal. There was a goal the other night against the Montreal Canadiens where there's a puck in the air, he bats it down and just takes it and whips it, and it just snipes off the bar and in. And I just started laughing. I was like, oh my God, where did that come from? What? How? And I find that happens a lot with him where there's a nothing play and he just takes it and scores, and it's like, oh my gosh. Like, he is just such a good player, such a fantastic goal scorer. And not only that, and there's this one part of the game where I do think he is a little bit underrated, is his defense and physicality. I find a lot of people who don't really watch the Leafs that much think he's not a very good defensive player. And yes, he does have his defensive mistakes sometimes, for sure. There's been a couple of times this season where in overtime, maybe he should have backtracked a little bit harder or something like that. But overall, I think his defensive game is still pretty good, and he's quite physical in the corners as well, because he's a big guy. I think that's what most people maybe don't really realize, is how big Matthews actually is. But he's a big guy. He can lay some hard hits. He's even taken out Shea Weber a couple of times that I can remember. But I do think his overall game is just really strong. Like I said, his goal scoring is fantastic, and I do think his physical and defensive game is fairly underrated, at least to people who maybe don't watch him that much. Now at number 2, I have William Nylander. I'm wearing his jersey here. Obviously, this is his rookie number. If you guys figured out I was wearing a William Nylander jersey, props to you, because I definitely don't think I would have. But I absolutely love William Nylander. He has a fantastic shot. He's a great playmaker, and he works really well with John Tavares on that line. They have really good chemistry, and he also has really strong zone entries as well. I feel like a lot of the time the Leafs do the drop pass on the power play, but I would way rather them pass the puck to Nylander and then have him carry it in the zone and gain possession that way, because that's most of the time how they actually get into the zone. But I really love this player. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people who hate William Nylander, and I think part of the reason why I have him so high and why I like him so much is because so many people hate him, and I feel like a lot of the hate is quite unfair. Now, I'm not saying he is a perfect player, because he's definitely not, and some of the criticism thrown at him sometimes is pretty valid. I feel like the one that is most valid is some of the times you do wish he would backcheck a little bit harder, and I think most of the time that might be just his skating style is just he takes longer strides, so it makes him look like he's not trying as hard, but there is definitely some times where he is definitely not trying as hard as maybe he should be. But the one criticism that I think is pretty unfair is his physical play in front of the net. He is a really good player in front of the net. Last season, I think he had the most net front goals for the Leafs, and he was pretty high up in the league for those net front goals as well. And I know a lot of people say he doesn't get into the corners and work hard or get in front of the net and get into the dirty areas, but he obviously does with those net front goals. And he does work really hard in the corners as well, but he doesn't do it physically is the thing, and I think that's why most people don't like him, is because he's not really that much of a physical player, but he does stick lift a lot. And when he does that, sometimes it does look pretty bad, because he'll come by and try and stick lift and grab the puck. Sometimes he misses and it makes him look lazy and it doesn't make him look very good. But majority of the time, I feel like he actually does get those pucks and then he creates a scoring chance out of that. And I feel like most people just focus in on the times where he doesn't get that puck. But it's just not really in his game, I think. And so you have a lot of the times where on the panels, they'll be talking about Nylander and they'll talk about a goal where maybe he should have tried a little bit harder, or maybe he should have done something else, or maybe he was a little bit at fault for something here. But the thing that I find as well is on those plays, I count either one or two other guys that also made a fairly big mistake or as big of a mistake as Nylander did, but they don't focus on them at all. They only focus in on Nylander. So I think that's why I kind of have him up this high and why I like him so much and why I root for him so much is because he feels like an underdog in the Leafs media for some reason. And it's kind of strange why, because he is such a good player. He is in the top 4 for the Leafs best players. But for some reason, a lot of Leafs media and a few Leafs fans, I feel like it's not maybe as many as you actually think, but they just absolutely hate Nylander, and it's very strange to me because I do think he is a very good player. Like I said, sometimes you maybe want him to backcheck a little bit more, but he still steals the puck a lot and creates a lot of turnovers. Like I said, his zone entries are great and he has a fantastic shot, and I just don't really know what some people aren't seeing in him. I think he is a great player. And finally, at number 1, I have Jack Campbell. I love this guy. What can you not say about this guy? He is just such a great goaltender. He obviously had that 11-game win streak this year where he looked fantastic for every single game except for that last game. That last game, he wasn't really that great. And after that 11-game win streak, he kind of went on a little bit of a 2-game slide. But since that 2-game slide, he looks absolutely amazing again and looks like he's back in that 11-game win streak kind of form. But not only that, but he just seems like such a great guy. Like, every single time you see him in the post-game interviews, he is just complimenting everyone else, saying, this guy is the reason that I'm here. This guy's so great, and he's talking about the LA organization and how much it helped him. He just seems like such a fun person and such a great guy, and he's always tapping players in front of the net after he covers the puck if they do a good job, or even if they don't do a good job, he'll still tap the guys in front of him and say, good job, yeah, nice one here. And he sometimes even does it to the opposing players too. It's kind of funny, like he just seems like such a fun person to be around, and I just don't have a bad thing to say about him. Actually, the only bad thing that I have to say about him is he's too hard on himself. During that like 2 or 3 game slide that he had, he was just so hard on himself, and it was like, Jack, man, come on, you're a great goaltender. Stop saying the stuff that you're saying, man. You got this. You're good. But yeah, I just absolutely adore that guy. He is great. I love him. I don't have a jersey of his yet, and I want one so bad. I'm waiting for a sale, for some kind of sale, maybe on like Cool Hockey or something like that, and I'll get that jersey then because I love the guy. He is fantastic. My favorite player on the Leafs, and he has quickly shot up the list, by the way. Nylander was at number 1 for quite a while, but this season especially has made me just absolutely love the guy. But yeah, so that's my list. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you're a Leaf fan, put your list in the comments down below. I would love to see it. Also, if you guys like this video, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel. And also make sure to follow me on my Instagram and my Twitter at the Jersey Zone YT on Instagram and at the Jersey Zone on Twitter. Links are in the description down below. But like I said, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.